Star Wars movies have numerical value to them. In George Lucas in Love, they have that bit where he's telling the girl of all the movies he wants to make, and they're all these like numbers and letters and everything. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to another rousing episode of the Super Suck Hour. We got a full motherfucking house tonight in hot-ass Chinatown, New York City at the bitch end of August. We got more people in here than we've ever had. Myself, the Super Sucklord, who never sweats and never stinks and is never disgusting, in the house. We have called in, parachuting in, as a matter of fact.
Parachuting.
Billions McMillions.
Halo drop.
Escape pod style.
Hey, we call him in for the special episodes, and he brought his friend GN2187.
GN1977.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Once again, JK5 is in the house.
What's up, everybody?
He's going to be bringing something very special to the table. J-Corp keeping it cool with that Chinese fan dance over there. Getting back to her roots. Sparkles McCheesy, Miss Meg Spector. There she is. She's going to contribute something somewhere. She represents the youth of today. And Nasty Neil. This is a Clubhouse edition. So, A, we're fucked up, and 2, you're going to feed us. So, what do you got today?
Oh, me?
Yeah, a salad?
I'm gonna make a nice salad, you know.
What kind of a salad?
You know, we're gonna have mixed greens, and we're gonna have some red onions, some craisins.
I see some strawberries over there.
That's what the craisins are for.
Oh, okay,
We're
okay.
gonna have a mix of citrus Pinot Noir dressing.
Pinot
right?
Noir. Close enough.
How do you say it?
Pinot Noir.
All right, $20,000 fine for correcting me in public.
Yeah.
And garlic and herb Chardonnay dressing.
I like that you're mixing your dressings. Edgy move.
You can't be. Can't just give you a regular old, you know.
There's nothing basic about you at all.
edibles.
I like that you said that.
You're so specific and exquisite.
And we're gonna have some grape tomatoes and some croutons, and as soon as you want me to get started, we can.
You
do
didn't
this,
make the
'cause I'm
croutons
starved.
yourself?
Get the fuck going, man.
Someday I'm gonna buy you a big kitchen.
Yes.
And you're gonna,
Yeah,
we're
you're
gonna,
always
we're all
talking
gonna,
about that.
we're all gonna be wearing loincloths.
Then we could do fried shit, you know. Then I'll be killing it, man. We'll do fucking.
And we're all gonna do it in various states of undress on the
insane
beach.
shit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Give money to the Patreon and that'll happen. All right. So, I look at the numbers and I read the stats. You know, we've been doing this show for a long time. This is episode what? 28. So it's in the late 20s. And like, you know, we post stuff and we vary around things. You know, we change topics. Some of them are very character driven, like your episode. You know, some of them are subject driven, like the Japan one, you know. And some of them are more like topical. You know, we've done sex centric ones. People love those. But there's been other types of episodes too. You know, we've done topic oriented ones, and there's been a lot of demand.
Well, there's a particular foundation among this group of people, among this group of friends. Is this where you're going?
People want more Star Wars. There's been a lot of comments on that last Star Wars episode we did, which was a while back, months ago.
You two did?
We did. Me, him, and Healy did a Star Wars episode called Star Wars, Siempre Star Wars, and which means always.
Yes.
And
Siempre.
you know, and people have been leaving a lot of comments on that episode saying I could watch this kind of shit all day. So I figured, okay, we need to give people what they want.
You know how I felt. We wound that up, and I was heated. I was mad.
That it ended?
I was.
What the hell was that? Where the fuck did that
Apropos is what that
That's
was?
the alternate love. That's the Luke and Leia love theme that John Williams just dropped, an unreleased track.
Ew, gross.
John, like before, like
He just started recording the music for episode 8.
yeah, that's amazing. But there was supposedly, our man brought this to our attention before the script for Empire Strikes Back was done. I guess based on Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Okay.
There was this sense that Luke and Leia were going to be the romantic couple. So there was an older version of the love theme that's about Luke and Leia getting it on.
Well,
That whole twin sister shit is made up at the last fucking minute. I'm sorry.
Well, listen,
that was bullshit.
all
That
I
was
wanted to
never
get at-
part of the
all
story.
I wanted to say was, I felt we could have kept going with that episode, chopped it up. Maybe you could have given the people more later.
Well, we're doing that now.
And that's what you said to me. You said, listen, let's see how it goes. We'll revisit it. It's a
Well, we're-
massive
we're-
topic. We couldn't tackle it all in one day.
We couldn't.
Anyway,
We're in that middle period
here we
now
are.
between Star Wars movies.
I think we're just in the revving up period.
Yeah.
Now that it's
Agreed.
pretty interesting. There was a big list announced of like the scheduling up to 2020, right? There's the
Of all the other movies that
yeah.
are coming out.
Consistently rhythmic rollout.
yeah. And
if
I guess we just have to say it's like the Marvel films are. And although not my favorite subject matter, they've all been pretty acceptable, good quality, some of them great. And so I'm just like, all right, if you're going to give me that level of quality, Disney, then I'm okay with
Star Wars. Give
Once
me
a year,
those
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
Star Wars.
Don't let them end.
Yeah.
Now it finally came true.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars is no longer a closed universe.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with it.
Mhm.
Are you comfortable with that?
It's
Are you
10
cool with-
p.m. Do you know where your Star Wars is
is?
going? Do you?
It's fucking weird, I think. I think it's fucking strange because we used to have to wait 3 years. And now we have to be ready for a new Star Wars movie every year. Every fucking year at Christmas is going to be a new Star Wars movie.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah.
That's on the schedule. Yeah,
Can we
they're
handle
gonna- Are people ready? Will we get fatigued with it? Will it remain
Will we get
special?
Will it become redundant?
Right, it's only been 1 year since the last one.
The last movie came out in December of 2015, and there's going to be another movie in 2016. It's called Rogue One, and it's the first standalone Star Wars film.
A Star Wars story.
Star Wars
I
story.
think.
An independent Star Wars story.
It takes place
Yeah.
outside of the,
the anthology
Skywalker
series,
trilogy.
which to
And
me
it's
is exciting. And it's,
yeah, I guess that's
in
kind of
its
what they.
core, in its simple newness.
That's what they've called it now, is the anthology.
Yeah, and they're
Which-
saying they're going to have no crawl.
Oh, interesting.
Crawl?
When the words go up in the
Yeah.
beginning.
I think they're
I'm
reserving
That's
that
only for the
the
trilogy
actual-
movies.
That's or
I'll
the
miss
like
the crawl.
the star. Yeah,
I don't like that.
I'll miss the
The
crawl.
video games have crawls. So like why take it away
the
from
the Rebels. The
Rebels-
fucking-
Rebel-
they
well-
all have crawls.
Clone Wars doesn't have a crawl. It has
Does the 80s wireframe video game have a crawl?
no.
Probably for the. I think
Clone
it
Wars
does for
doesn't
the
have a
high
crawl,
scores.
but it has in the font a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. That's where they put like a little metaphor. Do you watch Clone Wars or Rebels? Either
Yeah.
of you guys?
Yeah.
Good.
My
Yeah,
kids
they
and
put
I
a
did,
little
yes.
phrase like a battle can never be won until you get your starship out of the galaxy or something
Some
stupid
little
like that.
aphorism.
Yeah.
It's a concise, consolidated version of a crawl for the Clone Wars. I watch
Are
it with
you
my
guys
kids a lot.
cool with a Star Wars movie every year? You think that's gonna fuck everything up?
I'm okay with it as long as we get over this business of little winky references from one period to the next,
No, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about, Bill? What I mean is, like, when the prequels came out, it was like, oh, look, there's Greedo, and boy, he's just starting to be a jerk right now, and oh, hey, there's...
That's never gonna go
Oh,
away.
and there goes the Millennium Falcon flying
You don't think
by,
all the
and-
Star Wars movies from this point on are gonna have
They're gonna
throwbacks and
have some
callbacks
sort-
and winks to the original trilogy?
I
They
think...
would never take that away.
I-
No, they can't.
There's not a
That's
way
their-
to write another Star Wars.
That's their gold.
Yeah.
You're right. It's all the same movie over and over again.
All right. Well, okay.
No,
then,
you don't
then,
think
then
so?
let me temper that a little bit by saying I felt it was handled pretty well in The Force Awakens.
The Force awoke like a motherfucker.
It did. I mean,
did.
it Force Awoken like that. It Force
Force got
Awoken.
woke.
It Force Awaken up like this, or something.
The Force woke up like
yeah,
this.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, but that's different though because it's like it was fairly consistent with the tradition we've used to. It just was like, you know,
So this is an interesting step, but I do
Agreed.
think that this Rogue One film, I think we all kind of know, spoilers, that it is dealing with like the week or two before the original film. I mean, I guess we just have to guess.
Chronologically,
it's
to me,
pretty-
that's
pretty
so
obvious.
interesting that
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
within a
Where it's-
month
where it's
of
like-
episode 4.
I think it's
Yeah.
going to go right up to the very beginning of it when they
Nice.
transmit the plans. That's how it has to
And
end.
yeah, it might be like the little victory at the end where the blockade runner is just escaping
Yeah, but all
from
the
the
pr-
clutch.
I
they're all-
recently learned of the name of that ship where you
the
see
Tantive 4.
The
Yes.
Tantive
We've been
5?
knowing that. Get out of here.
Well,
That was a 5.
I ain't be
Tantive
knowing that
5?
shit.
4.
Tantive 4?
Until
Okay.
now.
All right.
I'm grateful for that.
I
tidbit
find
of
that's
new
interesting though
knowledge.
how they chose in the
I
very
love that
for
initial
the
scene and environment.
yeah, and they're gonna
that
ape
ship.
the fuck out of that. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting for the first standalone movie they chose to like butt up against the original film, and just like suddenly now like all as provincial and small as that original movie
I didn't realize it was
looks.
so going to be
It
butted
looks
up
so.
against.
It's gotta be. It's in the book of base
One
and yards
stuff.
before.
It looks so
Yeah.
good to me now. It looks like we're watching like a Brad Pitt World War II movie. Like it looks like we're watching a period movie within
that
the Star
director
Wars
shoots from
universe.
the ground, man. He shoots from that level. That was
Yeah.
a real conscious decision.
Gareth,
Right?
I don't remember his name, but
I can't remember his last name, but
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you all that technical shit. I'm just the thing that I find interesting is more is like, how is this going to affect the culture?
yeah.
You know, it's like now, like the whole paradigm of Star Wars it's been flipped around from being this very finite, closed universe that only was parceled out under these, you know, certain circumstances about this one particular story,
In
and now
some ways.
suddenly it's just going to be
Always
flailing
been
on.
a little
And-
bit like that, though.
How?
Well, like just before.
This is the voice of Snapchat.
There's just other.
The only
No, I
person in the room who understands
That's not
Snapchat.
an insult.
No, I'm kidding.
There was before that shit like fucking Clone Wars and Rebels and just weird comics and things that did exist.
And the
within
prequels,
universe.
yeah.
We haven't. There's as a youth millennial who wasn't around when like the first Star Wars came out. I came into the world feeling that
Gen
I knew growing
DM,
up
we're
that
calling
Star
it.
Wars
Gen
was
DM. Generation
universe.
DM.
I knew what it was. I'd seen it and I'd understood it. It was just as relevant, and I don't think it was ever thought of as closed. I'm not sure if it's going to affect culture.
You know what?
as much as you think.
I can understand what she's saying.
Me too.
And in this very room,
I meant
actually, your
not-
man Bert Banger brought up a very interesting point. He was like, even as much as the prequels didn't really deliver, like maybe you expected them to or wanted them to, Bert brought up how it was still pretty cool thinking like, oh wow, there's more Star Wars out there coming at us, you know, like, oh cool. And it's not like some kind of like, oh, I went to the comic book store and they had a Ewok book or something, you know. It's not like this outside
No, but I mean, the
extraneous
thing
universe.
is, even
it was
when
like,
that
it was
original, when
mainstream.
when the prequel trilogy came out, it was still like, there's only going to be 3.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, I agree with what you're saying on that finite timeline, but
yes.
I also have to say that it was pretty exciting to see that happening, and I would imagine from, you know, like this young lady's point of view, it's been around her, it's been omnipresent. Like, okay, prequels, okay. Like, when were you born? Like 2009? Well, what?
2012.
Okay, right. No.
And
What?
No, but when? No, but you were born when? Like 1995 or something?
yeah.
Okay.
She's
So
about
you've
as
had
old as the
Star
special
Wars-
editions.
You've had Star Wars around you. Like,
In that context,
like there
yes.
has been Star Wars all the time. I think it's going to be interesting because we're going to be deviating from the Skywalker family, you know, on a mainstream level.
Yeah, on the.
Whereas I know that droids or all these other little things that came out along the way.
Yeah, but these are movies now. It's
I know
the first
these
time
are,
it's
these are
been
actually
movies.
these are actually.
But it's
films
also the
that are-
first time where you're just going to get one every year forever.
Yeah.
As they say. Yes, it is true.
Just like there's been this big shift, there's gonna be another big shift. They can't do it forever. They just can't.
You don't think they could make a Star Wars movie a year forever?
And not
Define
have things
how it-
really, really, really go downhill. Have the people start resenting it,
Go ahead.
especially if it's like a thing that happens every year.
I mean,
If
I
it's
agree
so
with
annoying,
you.
it could
I
become
agree
Okay,
with
essentially
you.
a
yeah.
tradition people hate, and then
You're
fizzles
right. It
out.
could become played out. Like,
Yeah.
can
Well,
you
like, let's
name?
say
Can you
8 or
name?
9 years
Can you
from
name
now,
10
let's say.
Star Wars standalone movies that would be good movies?
Well, I
10
know there's
subjects.
at least 5 or 6 in the works.
Okay, what
that
are they?
that are being written?
There's the Han Solo. There's the
Han Solo,
Obi-Wan,
Obi-Wan, Boba Fett.
Boba Fett.
None of those really
That's
sound
three
that
mo- that's
interesting
three
to me,
movies.
other than Han Solo. Honestly, I mean, the
Yeah.
other ones I feel like we've kind of
A
explored.
Yoda movie when Yoda was young. Where? How many more can they milk before they're running out of
I
ideas?
just want to see some other stuff, and I don't think anyone's ever going to run out of ideas.
Darth Maul.
I'm really tired of that phrase, "running out of ideas."
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
really what people are trying to say is like we can't really deviate from these generally safe ideas.
I think they're going to
it's-
run into trouble, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I mean,
I think they're going to have a good decade of just like stellar releases.
So what's in process right now?
Well,
What's
it's like
actually
the
being written? How many standalone
eight,
films?
8 and 9,
Right.
and then there's going to be there's Rogue One, the Han Solo movie, the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, the Boba Fett movie. Those are, I think, the only ones they've really announced. So that's like 5 films.
Yeah.
That's like the next 5 years. Like by 2020, they're going to be out of ideas. or 2021. They're not. They're gonna have to come up with something else. And they're farming the strongest material first. What happens after that?
Well, I actually was reading a thing about how sort of the whole like big movie franchise is just going to implode upon itself if lots and lots and lots of flop movies keep being made in such a short amount of
You're
time.
speaking specifically about the recent DC endeavors.
Just there are a lot of bad movies being produced that do like horribly in the box office or get bad reviews, like one or the other. And if it keeps going like that, if it keeps going like that, the movie industry is
You're saying the
itself.
whole framework or the whole concept
Yeah,
of
I
these
think things are gonna be-
big budget franchises
I
are
think
going
things
to
are
die.
going to be really different actually in like 3 years, which is right in the midst of your little Star Wars.
You may be right, but I think Star Wars exists on its own
I
terms.
kind of think Star Wars might. I know what you're saying
No,
because
it
I
does exist on
feel.
its own terms, but can they keep making the movies once a year?
I think they
Is that a
can.
good way
I
for
think
them
they
to-
can. And when this is what my situation is when they finally realize that they're stuck and they've like kind of exhausted all the obvious avenues to take, they're gonna call guys like us.
And they're going to
gonna
make
call Bill
Guardians of the
McMullen.
Galaxy version.
I have
Yeah.
a great
think
I have a
that
great
you're, like-
concept for a Darth Maul
Okay,
movie.
Star Wars is so vast and far-reaching, and the industry in and of itself, there's so many people involved with Star Wars, and that someone's aware of your presence. They know about you.
Yeah.
They know. They're
So
just
so what's up?
They
you're in
know.
the database.
So then what's
they just,
up?
They know.
You're probably like a special agent. They'll call you out when it's
When they're
needed.
ready to
They
activate
have you
it.
in their back pocket.
I hope
and
so.
they're
I
like,
would
"Oh,
I would if I ever got that call, I would fucking stop everything I
They're
was
like, we're
doing.
working on Han Solo Vengeance at Galaxy's End, and we accidentally ordered 14 million gallons of pink paint. What are we going to do? And this brilliant guy is like, let me make a
See
let me
those
make a call.
stormtrooper costumes over there?
Yeah, let me make a call.
I don't know.
You know, I know what you're saying because I think that when the whole Marvel thing started up, it was like, whoa, look at this. They've got all this going and Civil War is coming. And then they laid out this whole thing and it seemed like a great idea. And then Avengers came out and it was like they were mixing and matching these tones of the film. You know, like Captain America was a little more like serious and, you know, and then Iron Man kind of had this nice, charming sort of vibe. And, you know, I feel like I can think of a few, and this is not to say anything about sexist or anything. I'm just saying I can think of a few women that really didn't mind seeing Iron Man and Iron Man 2 because it was cool. You didn't have to know all about Iron Man. Yeah, it's not even women. Can we just say there were people that didn't have to know everything about Iron Man that were still able to enjoy it because the Tony Stark character was so entertainingly played.
But I mean, that's
with Robert
also-
Downey Jr.
but-
And then you mix that sort of weird humor with this kind of like Captain America thing, and then it was like weird, and it wasn't fitting together very well. And I was like, wow, I don't know about all this. And then Avengers: Age of Ultron, that sucked, kind of. But then Captain America: Civil War was pretty good again, and it seems like I think they're aware of people getting fatigued and things, and they don't have to stick to the plan they made here in 2016
I
when
just
they
have
get
a question
to
that I've been
2021.
wondering that I want to ask this panel of three wise men. If Marvel has really figured out the strategy and is doing so well, what's good with DC? Why can't they crack the fucking code?
It's true. I read a big article about that, and it was talking about how DC seems to have television figured out, whereas
Marvel's
Marvel
killing it on
struggled.
TV too, though, with
No,
Daredevil.
They weren't at the time. And
also the
Daredevil
D-
doesn't really count as killing it.
No?
No, I mean it's good, but Netflix doesn't really have the reach and everything. Like they don't release what their audience is. They're not like Agents of Shield is doing better than Daredevil is.
But that's still Marvel.
It is, but what I'm saying is that DC has all these like Smallville and Flash and whatever. I'm not saying it's better or whatever. It's just it seemed like DC was able to go down that road a little better, and Marvel seems to be handling the cinema
I don't know.
experience.
My theory is DC has weaker characters.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
what I
absolutely
think
true.
that's what it
I think
comes down
that's
to.
a major problem. They have to like reach deep into these weird ones that you're just kind of like.
Well,
I'm
look
not
what they're
buying
doing.
it."
They have to do to Aquaman. They have to turn
I don't
Aquaman into
want
Khal
Aquaman
Drogo
movie.
to make it work. You know, you can't
I don't
have an
want
Aqua
that.
movie with the blonde guy with the orange and green suit. I mean, that just does not. I would love to see that, but
I
you
would love to
cannot
see
make
it
that
too.
character.
But no comic characters that you're seeing on screen
Well,
look like their original ones.
Spider-Man
and
looks pretty close.
No, but they've been making him.
The X-Men, they
Different.
changed their costumes a little bit, but the essence of the
Oh,
X-Men.
you know whose clothes got extremely changed? Watchmen. And Watchmen had such iconic looks and outfits.
And that's your
and
thing.
that's my favorite comic in the world.
My
yeah.
thing. Yeah. Well, look, I'm just saying the costume change, the Drogo thing. I don't mind that. I'm thinking like, is it really that compelling a character, Aquaman? Whatever. I don't want to talk
Well,
about.
what about
Marvel.
the Submariner?
Yeah.
Submariner's
that's a
just
nice
like
watch.
a better Aquaman.
We're talking about the.
He's
Rolex?
a more compelling Aquaman. It's the same
Oh,
thing. The
you're talking-
underwater
I know,
kingdom
I know, I
guy,
know.
but the
Namor.
Submariner is such a
Namor,
more
I know,
like you
I
could
know.
look at Marvel and DC. I know we're going to talk about Star Wars, and they have like comparable
Eventually,
characters.
again, we'll talk
and
about
most
Star
of the
Wars.
time, the Marvel one is just a little more complex and
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm learning a lot. I'm enjoying
They're
this
cooler,
vibe and
they're
dialogue. I just
cooler,
can't
They're
speak
cooler and
intelligently to
interesting.
Marvel
They're cooler
or
and more
DC.
interesting. You
What?
know, they're cooler. The Marvel ones are generally more interesting. And
Well,
it has,
but the thing is, what's why I think
There was a
Marvel is
Marvel
better
Universe
than
comic series
DC.
and not a DC.
Well,
universe
because
series.
Marvel was created as
I'm
a
just saying I
reaction
love
to DC.
that.
well, that's what I was about to
Yeah.
say. Is that
Series.
the primary characters that we see from DC were generated in the 40s and the 50s.
There's
Yeah.
these
And the
archetypical
primary
good guys.
characters we see from Marvel
Yeah.
were created in the 60s, the late 60s, and a more reactionary
But the
time,
thing-
a more
yeah,
interesting
but the thing
time.
is, DC
Yeah, very
created
true.
the tropes, and then Marvel
Yeah.
flipped
Made
the
the better
tropes.
characters.
Yeah, well, like it's the same thing like Lord of the Rings versus Game of Thrones. Like Lord of the Rings was this sort of like more of a simplistic moral universe that set the standard, and then Game of Thrones came and took that scenario and it injected this moral ambiguity into
Yeah,
it, which made it more contemporary. And that's the same thing Marvel did with DC, and that's why DC to this day is fucked because their characters just aren't as rich and interesting. And they have to invent shit to make it work.
But I will say,
So fuck you. I was
will
always a Marvel
say,
guy.
we're
So
kind of
fuck
forgetting that those Christopher Nolan Batman films were enormous. Those were like the
Batman is
they
the
were-
best thing
I
DC
know,
has
and
going.
Batman is a fantastic character. Batman being a special character in my mind because you could actually be Batman somehow.
Well said, man.
Like you can't actually be Spider-Man. Fuck you. Nice concept, but you can't really
Well,
be
because Batman
caught in a
has
lab
no-
and like,
You're just
"Well,"
not
you
gonna
know,
be bit by
you might
radioactive
get
spider
that.
and
Batman
you
has
might
no powers.
Look,
into
the
half
thing
of a
that you
spider.
could be wandering through a lab at late at night and you fuck up with the radio and you get Ebola, but you're not going to be able to climb walls. So whatever. But Batman is like, damn,
A little
man,
more tangible, a little
I
more
won
realistic.
the lottery.
You can harness that
I
shit.
chilled out. I changed my name. I moved over here. I built this mansion.
I took
you know?
karate.
Yeah, and I got.
I
This,
have Alfred.
I went on to eBay and I got a manservant named Alfred from England.
eBay and Alfred.
I don't know. I'm just saying, you know.
We're doing well with this tangent.
Yeah. So that's cool. You know, I'm just, you know, hey, let's just talk for a second. Speaking of Star Wars,
I just
what
wouldn't
about
want
our man? What about our man? What about our man Baker?
Kenny
Dude,
Baker.
What about Kenny
R.I.P.
Baker?
Pour
What
some
about-
out. Kenny Baker.
Just a small segment on Kenny Baker.
Morgan, can I please?
Yeah, on the
Kenny
floor.
Baker?
Sure. You want to pour one out for Kenny Baker? Go ahead.
How could we not?
Dicks out.
How much did Kenny Baker really contribute to the personality of R2D2?
That's a good question. But
Not-
he
Do
was
you
the
really
human
wanna
being
go that way? Why
inside
do we
the
have to be-
physically constructed
Why do we have to be that way?
Ken
what?
that was
Hey, you know
the
what?
original R2D2.
He might have brought a
Was he in
personality
Time Bandits,
between.
Bill?
He might have.
I think he did. I'm just asking.
He might have
I'm-
brought personality between takes
He's just trying
that
to get
allowed the other actors to like warm up.
The
to
way
this
he
weird little
shook
Ken.
around
I
in
love
the
that
costume.
perspective. I think that's a really
you know what I mean?
sensitive,
Yeah,
cool thing to
maybe
say.
like-
Yeah,
He
man.
does do that shape better than anyone.
But first of all, Kenny Baker
Yeah.
wasn't in the costume. Anytime R2 had his third leg out, that was a robot, and he wasn't
Yeah.
in there. He was only in the costume
Are you sure
when
that
he was
wasn't
on
his
two
dick?
legs. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that.
Listen,
Kenny Baker
I love
could've-
Kenny Baker just like any
I
other.
know.
But
Shit.
what's Jeremy Bullock to Boba Fett? And
I'll
think
tell
about
you
that
the difference.
dynamic
Hello?
in relationship.
He's literally
He's answering
Hello?
the phone.
He does have
phone
the.
during the filming of his
Hold
own
on.
fucking
I'll tell you the
podcast.
difference between Kenny Baker and Jerry Bullock after I let Nestino back in.
Adung. Okay, well we'll just carry on over here.
Let's carry on.
We'll
Let's
get back
do
to
it.
some Star Wars.
Please.
Okay. So
You just depluralized Star Wars. by
I
the
know.
way. I don't know if you're aware
I know.
of that.
Well, because it's an ongoing thing.
It
now,
is.
you
Let's
know.
just
it's
let's
one
just,
gigantic.
Let's make
Star
it
War.
singular.
It's just one.
It's
gigantic
become a Star War.
Yeah.
It's become a war.
I was talking
most
about
welcome
Kenny
one, if you ask
Baker.
me.
I was talking about with someone how I had read this thing how Alec Guinness had actually kind of gotten tired of the idea of Star Wars.
Yeah, he hated it by the last one.
By the final one,
Got
he was
sick of the mumbo jumbo.
He was like,
But
Did
let's be
Harrison
honest.
Ford and Mark Hamill
Let's
too?
be honest. Return of the Jedi is subpar compared to the other two movies as far as just the writing, the content, the story. I mean, they just fucking dumbed it down so
I mean,
hard.
you know how I feel about
would
it.
feel the
I
same way. I mean, the
actually-
first two movies were serious films, and the third one was like an
Listen,
'80s
I'm going to take a
Goonies
lot. I'm going to
movie.
take a lot of heat for this because I'm generally regarded as a pretty quality Star Wars fan, right? I mean,
Yes.
generally people are like, "You're cool." It's
Okay,
cool.
but
All right. I'm
Time
gonna.
for that to change.
Well, I'm hoping you can roll with me on this one, people. I actually like Phantom Menace more than Return of the Jedi.
Interesting.
I'm not completely against
I
that.
just kind of feel like there was more interesting stuff promising in Phantom Menace. I'm going to say the year...
Promising is the key word.
Like the year the Phantom Menace came out leading up to the second film, I was like, I know people are mad at this, but I think there's a lot of weird, cool potential here. There's a lot of weird shit in there.
Also,
The Jedi are running. He's like melting a door with a lightsaber. I'm like, what is all this? This is so weird. It's so weird.
The melting the door was
And-
dope.
and-
yeah,
like,
but the
this
thing
is
is, the
cool.
Phantom Menace had a lot less to live up to than Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is supposed to conclude this epic story.
Questionable.
No,
That's
because
a questionable comparison and analogy, but as much
When
as
the
I'm
entire
enjoying
world is
Return of the
waiting for
Jedi
both.
versus Phantom Menace, I never thought to really
compare the two.
correlate those two.
Yeah,
But I
well,
think
I'm just
it's-
saying,
think
like,
they're
when I
both
make
terrible.
a list of which ones I actually enjoy watching,
Right. No, I think you make valid points, man.
I can't say Phantom Menace is great, but there are a lot of interesting situations proposed within Phantom Menace, like
Yes.
when Darth Maul runs up on Qui-Gon Jinn
It's dope.
on Tatooine. You're just like, whoa, this is pretty gnarly. They have not
That
dealt
scene
with
is
anybody
fresh.
and other than training
Dude, I
or
watched that
deflecting
scene
lasers.
30 times in the
Shot.
last month. Can I
Laser
just say
guns
that?
shoot bullets,
My
right?
kids.
Laser
yeah,
bullets.
it looks great. It looks great.
Yeah, but I don't even talk. I'm just saying, like, oh, how interesting. Like, Qui-Gon Jinn comes out winded, and he's like, oh my God, man. I think
I don't know who he was.
I was just, that wasn't training, man. That
Yeah,
was
but the thing
some
is, you
sick-
I know he was highly trained in the Jedi
You
Arts.
can't
Yeah, yeah.
compare them because, in a way, like Phantom Menace is a setup film.
Yeah.
It's sort of laying down the building blocks of what
And
the rest of
that
that
is-
trilogy
yeah,
is going to be.
yeah.
Whereas Return of the Jedi is supposed to be wrapping up everything that's already been
Right.
set up.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
just doesn't. I mean,
Well,
it could have been.
I mean,
better.
I think there's arguments for both, where the world was just sitting around waiting, and here's what happened, and it was disappointing.
Nasty
What's
Neil, are you
weird,
gonna
though,
cook
man,
us some
is-
food? What do you got? Let's go.
It's
wanna
inevitable.
eat.
It's the
We're
dynamic
hungry.
that we embody, but comparing this filmic universe to our interactive experience with it is somehow like I feel like there needs to be two conversations there. Does that make
What
sense?
do you mean?
Well,
Bill can
I
help
actually,
re-articulate that,
as
I'm
much
sure.
as I like, as much as I
that make
love
sense?
Star Wars, right? As much as I love Star Wars and I understand the lore, I've even heard of General Thrawn. You know what I mean?
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Oh, whatever.
Clearly Morgan has
Anyway,
heard of him too.
as much as I love the story and legacy and lore of Star Wars,
Oh really?
I personally, my favorite shit is what I call Star Wars on Earth, which is like the
How they made the
the
movie.
making of Star
Yeah, me
Wars
too,
and
man.
designing the models and creating it.
Ralph
and,
McQuarrie,
You know, yeah, and Ralph McQuarrie. And so,
Doug Chiang.
and just, you know, I'll give you an example. When we were part of that Vader Project show, I painted my Darth Vader mask, and I painted it like the way they painted the what's called the Joker mask, where they had done screen tests of the original Darth Vader mask, and in all black, it didn't photograph very well. So
They
the
put some
costume
grays and
designer
some
figured out
gunmetal.
this method where the alternating angles on the helmet were painted in like a metallic
Oh my
gray
God,
and
that's
black,
brilliant.
and you don't really notice it when you're watching it.
Contouring.
Yeah.
Optically,
And-
they had to somehow balance
and it worked
trick
on
out
the
2D
test,
and 3D.
and so it was like I hope somebody knows that I painted this thing with the Joker pattern, which is really just the
Intended,
It's the
yeah.
on
Most
camera.
people wouldn't know that, but
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but
But
that's,
I
that's kind of more
That's what
my
Billions
world.
I applaud
That's
your
kinda more my
commitment to
Yeah, he
world.
was trying to find the
And
cooler people.
I'll tell you, when I
yeah.
just the other night, I'm going to bring this back to modern times. This
that's
millennium.
a Star Wars dog whistle.
When we yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. When we were leading up to this weekend, I was like, I better watch that second trailer, the new trailer for Rogue One. I better get up on that because I'm in the midst of doing a bunch of stuff around my apartment. I don't even have a TV set up. I couldn't really watch it. I didn't want to watch it on the computer. I'm the kind of spaz that like.
I have to watch it on the wall.
I actually went when the trailer for Force Awakens is coming out. I went to the IMAX theater to go see the trailer. Everybody was like, "I watched it this morning on my phone," and I'm like, "No,
That's why we love you, Billions.
That's so extra of you,
not
Bill.
not happening, not
It's
happening."
not extra. That's
Yeah.
central.
And I was
That's,
like, and I'm telling
integral
you,
to
I know
Bill
I enjoyed that
McMullen.
Millennium Falcon, like flying more than half
Dude,
the people watching it on their phone.
Those were
That
some
blew my
ill
mind,
perspectives and
Yeah,
vantage points.
yeah. So I was
And
like, man, you've been over to my
cinematographic
place. I'm like, I have the projector
angles.
set up. We watched the Game of Thrones. It's cool. Morgan did a fantastic Game of Thrones interpretive dance of the final episode of the last season.
That was pretty good.
missed
Maybe
that
maybe
shit.
we'll cut away to a clip of that.
Maybe.
Oh, hopefully.
Please cut away to a
Love
clip of that. I want to
Oh,
see
you
that
want to
shit
see
right
my
now.
Game of Thrones dance?
Dude,
Okay.
Yes, I
that's
do.
what-
Oh my God! It takes me right back to that night. That was fantastic.
Okay,
I
thank you,
love
thank
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that clip we watched.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I'm on the same.
So
okay, go on.
when I watched it, I was like, "Cool, Rogue One, awesome." I watched it on the
This is
projector,
good. This
enormous,
better not end.
and
Ever.
it's kind of getting at me a little bit because it just shows these amazing shots of Star Destroyers flying. I'm a sucker for that.
You know what's really interesting is
the context.
They're showing more ships in atmosphere.
Yeah.
Like
In other atmospheres,
Well,
in new
the Death Star
environments.
itself
well, yeah,
flying
yeah,
over,
in
kind of hovering
in
over the planet.
Force Awakens and Rogue One, they show more like the TIE fighters in the sunset.
Those are my
on the
favorite
battles, the
aspects or
X-Wings on
elements
the-
of both the Force
'cause we've
Awakens
only
and
seen
the
them
Rogue
in
One
space
trailers.
before.
The CGI shit is obviously so much better. So it went from in the beginning
Yeah.
where there wasn't any at all to like shitty Jar Jar Binks shit to like what's going on now.
Yeah.
which
Did
is
you just say Jar Jar
incredible.
Binks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
but I mean, just showing that Star
shitty
Destroyer,
one.
like,
and I love the
in
motif
atmosphere.
of this kind of like like tropical island.
Yeah.
Dope.
Like what's happening?
But I'm
But,
really
Yo!
but the
Island
reason
Star
I
Wars.
bring this up is that I was like,
Bill, can I?
of course I'm down for this, but on iTunes trailers they also have this thing called like Rogue One featurette.
I saw
Oh,
that
So
right.
too.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'll watch that, and
Yeah.
I click on it, and it opens with this awesome shot that
A
just
different shot.
defines my entire Star Wars on Earth idea, which I'm talking about. It got me more excited than the trailer was. It opens with the shot of a stormtrooper up in one of those observation like bird's
crow's
nests.
nest or whatever.
Yeah, like
Crow's
a little
nest,
crow's
yeah.
nest, like from
Observation tower
like on
of sorts.
the Yavin Moon, but it's a stormtrooper, and in the foreground there's a crane camera, and I'm like, this whole shit. This is my shit.
That's
right
dope.
there. This is
Pause.
there's the stormtrooper. There's
Draw
the
it.
camera. There's the Alexa
Iterations
are
whatever
coming.
the fuck it was shot on, and maybe film. I don't know. I think they tweeted.
They
it was
shot
being-
this on film.
I think it was being tweeted that they were shooting on film, but
It's amazing.
whatever.
I mean,
it's cool. But
it's-
Bill, I
was
can
like, this is
never
my
not
shit, and it
think
got
of
me
you
more
again every
excited
time
about
I
it.
see an AT-AT. That's the truth, man. That's
Oh,
a really
I'm
special mark
flattered
you've
you'd say
made on
that.
the
I
world.
think they're actually. I think the AT-AT is the new Boba Fett. Like I think they're
That's
just,
an interesting
they're
call.
Just spicing it. They're
just gonna
over
stick 'em
spicing
in
it.
wherever.
Bill,
It's kinda
what
like,
about
it's like
how
truffle oil,
how
it's like
anthropomorphous
duck oil fries? It's like
What?
does everybody is everybody doing this now? I
Bill.
got an AT-AT on the ground here.
Bill, let me
that
ask you.
Ray is living in. I
Let
got
me-
AT-ATs,
Let me ask you just a direct question real quick because I thought of you immediately.
I'm here,
And
buddy.
You were beating in my heart. The laser shoots at the AT-AT. It gets animalized, humanized, anthropomorphized. It moves its head out of the
Ouch,
way.
right?
It said, "Ouch!" That was amazing.
That is pretty
That's
weird.
a moment.
We're talking about the new trailer.
That's
Why
a
is
special
AT-AT
moment.
catches a blow
Why
to
is it
the
a
ear.
moment? It shows that it's modeled after an animal,
Yeah,
unlike
there's
never
before.
before.
There's a humanity or a soul.
There's
I
a-
will say that in
They
The Empire
can
Strikes
feel
Back, I
things.
do
Yeah.
like the way that
I love
there's
that moment.
shot where they're like inform Lord Vader, and it takes this kind of this.
It takes
braces
this weird
itself.
stance.
It takes
Yeah.
this bracing stance, like I'm about to fire some fucking lasers that I might be a little unstable.
It might
I might
throw
be
me off, so let me
destabilized
fucking
if
put
I
my
don't sit
back
there and
leg
just
back.
Get all contraposta on this shit, like.
Did you say contraposta?
You know, like I'm just saying, an AT-AT standing contraposta. It's kind of sexy.
I mean,
It's a
that
good
was
word.
the thing.
yeah.
That's
To
an
go
art
back
school
to the-
sexy
to
word.
the point you made, one of the
Yeah.
first things that really influenced me as a creative type was, I mean, I loved the first Star Wars movie, but after that they came out with this documentary called The Making of Star
Yeah,
Wars,
man.
How long
which
it was-
showed
Yeah.
kind of how they did it.
Oh, yeah.
And
The
watching
truck
that and
driving
just
by the
seeing
Death
the
Star.
sort of like
Yeah.
hands-on, kind of just really basic,
yeah.
just like build it, do it yourself.
Yeah.
Just like kind of practical effects type thing. Made me think, oh, I could do this too.
I think we
And
all
that's-
felt
yeah,
that when we
but
were
that-
watching it.
yeah,
that it was
that's
just
what
like,
set me
it's
off.
just
And
like, you know what?
SPFX,
You know, it's
remember
like
that?
I can understand it a little bit now. I mean,
That was
you know
really
what?
important for me.
That
to, like,
Agreed. Same here.
It
realize
was
it.
just at
In
the
a positive
daytime, you know.
way,
Yeah.
The first Star Wars movie
It's
was
a-
like the first shoe to drop, and then the second one was the second shoe.
in a way,
Well,
or just they
how
complemented each other
behind
because
the
you kind of
scenes,
needed
how
to
they
know.
made it, yeah.
How physical and tangibly
Yeah.
created it was as you were watching it somehow.
But it was
It's a
amazing
little
that they
bit-
were
That was
willing
there.
to like reveal how they
That
did it.
shit was
you know?
It made it
there.
like my Batman. Like, you know what? You can actually do Star Wars.
Yeah,
if
you
you
can
got
make
a
your
if you
own
got a
Star
friend
Wars,
with a
and
truck,
that's what we've all been
if you got a
doing this
friend
whole
with a truck
fucking
that's
time.
willing to drive by your model of the
It
Death
had a
Star
hardware,
fast
no
enough.
allusion to HBO's Hardware Wars, that
Okay,
parody,
okay,
but
alright.
it had a hardware, physical, tangible, craft
Isn't that amazing?
There- he's
based,
going in. He's
craft-based reality
Well,
to
I
it.
mean, to be honest with you, I think that's what made the original
But that's its own
trilogy
whole
so
other
relatable.
conversation.
Was that it was made out of real things,
Yes.
whereas
I will
the
also
prequel
say,
trilogy
yeah.
was all just like pixels, and there was a
Apples and oranges, man.
something-
There is- listen,
there was
there
a
is-
lack of connection there. I think it has an
If there
effect.
is
Dude.
an analogy for the new prequel to the making of Star Wars special we were all talking about, I think it was like an hour long, and it'd be like Ben Burt like hitting a cable.
hitting
on
These
the
are how the
cable.
noises are made. Let's
If there's an
experiment. Let's
analogy to
wild
a
out on
truck
the auditory
driving-
universe of what we have as humans. Yeah,
Right.
man.
I just
That's
want to
why
say,
it's relatable because
Right.
it's brought out of the world
I
we're
just,
in.
I just want to say,
Sensory.
Okay, Bill, say.
if there's an analogy to that
What?
truck
That smells good.
Another
driving by
yeah.
when they're shooting the Death Star surface and explosions are going off, and this guy with a camera sitting in the back bed of a truck. If there's an analogy to that, if there's a converse analogy to the prequels being so intangibly created,
Yes.
I will say it is when you're watching the commentary track and fucking what's his name, like Rick McCallum, right?
Yeah.
The,
The
producer,
producer.
George Lucas's producer, as of like
Phantom Menace on
basically everything that sucked. I'm sorry, Rick McCallum. but-
99 on, right?
there's a part in the commentary track for Attack of the Clones where it's the desert battle, troopers are running in, there's like some like weird dropship landings, and he has the fucking gall to say something like, and I'm paraphrasing, he says something like, you see all those clone trooper outfits, they're all digitally created, we never made one of those costumes, there's no, it's like, don't be proud
It's so
of that,
antithetical
don't
to
be
what it's
proud
all
of that, you
about for
motherfucker.
us.
And I think that
Such
there
a
was-
generational
but
divide, man.
I
Such a
also think-
technological versus a manual
again-
divide.
But they
again-
went back to
but
practical
again-
effects for
again,
Force
I
Awakens,
think-
so-
I think-
that
I
was
think
a
it
beautiful
actually
thing.
Kind of more of a. I think it was more of a peace offering to the original fans, to fans that saw flaws of the thing, because there was a lot of digital work on the new film as well. But
Sure.
I think that they made a concerted effort to introduce the behind the scenes and say, hey, we're
Look, here's a dude in a
we're
costume.
doing some very practical stuff. Even
Here's Simon Pegg
even-
sweating his ass off.
yeah, and even there was, I think there was the thing where J.J. Abrams, when they were filming, he had some sort of, he was talking and a guy walked by in the background. It was some sort of like a fundraiser that they were doing for, and it was like the first thing you saw of the new Star Wars. They're out shooting in the desert, and you know, I don't know. You know how I feel about that. I'm a little over the desert thing, so that's why I'm kind of excited about the new
Environments,
planet, you know, some new stuff. I don't know. How are we feeling about Rogue One, though?
Me personally?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it when we were talking before a few months ago. We were kind of hoping. We were kind of.
It's a new hopening.
We were kind of hoping that the Diego Luna character would be
Biggs.
Biggs Darklighter. Unfortunately, it is not, but he has the same dashing sort of look.
He
that would have
looks
been
like
cool.
Biggs, so I don't understand why he wouldn't be Biggs.
It would have been great.
Yeah, I just think that would have been a cool little detail, you know, to put in there to just like give some continuity to that look of that character that we never really got to know.
I mean, I guess honestly, it can't really be that way because if you watch the Biggs Luke scene, it would be awfully weird that he was right there saying he's going to go join the rebellion, but actually he was part of Rogue One.
well, the thing is that scene got cut out of the movie,
got cut out of
so
this, so it's
technically
not
it doesn't
real.
have to
I
be
know,
canon,
I know,
and they could
but-
just extrapolate on it and just reinterpret it. I mean, I think it
That's
would have
true,
given
yeah.
maybe a little more weight to the death of that character in Episode 4 if we had actually got to know him in Rogue One and he was actually an important player in the event. So I thought it would have been cool. I thought that was they
It would
could have
been
done
nice.
they could have done
It would
that.
have been nice.
I mean, there's a little bit in the news, the next season of Clone Wars where they introduce Wedge, who is a defecting TIE fighter pilot.
okay.
You know, and that's just like cool. You know, you're giving him a little backstory. We would like to have a little more Biggs. I'm sure the actor, I forgot his name, was pretty bummed out that all those scenes got cut out of the movie.
Of a Wedge, you mean?
No, Biggs.
Oh, Biggs, yes, of course.
Yeah, like all that shit on Tatooine just didn't make it into the
I'm
film.
sure he's probably okay with it, as
this
those
point.
royalty checks come in about the same amount.
Yeah,
as
maybe.
If you were
I mean,
in
the
other
thing
scenes
is,
or
the
not.
thing that's weird about this new movie is that, yeah, we know the time period and the story, but we don't know any of these characters, and we're assuming they're all going to be dead by the end of the movie. So we can't connect with them. Like,
Well,
what was so
we
weird
do know
was-
Mon Mothma, of course.
we do, but we don't have like the thing about what was so intense about Force Awakens is like it had Luke and Han and Leia,
Yeah.
and Han Solo died in one of the most tragic
Deaths
the
in the Star
absolute
Wars,
most
yeah.
tragic deaths in all of Star
And
Wars.
one of the most
For sure, man.
final and certain deaths, because I was
Yes.
listening to a podcast
No
and they
way.
pointed out that
For
like,
so many
he
reasons.
got stabbed, he fell into a
And then the
pit,
planet blew
and then
up.
the planet was blown
yeah,
up.
he's
There's
dead.
no
There's
question he's
bringing
not
him
coming back.
and they would never
Yeah.
have done it. But it was
and
just
also the fourth quadrant of that whole thing is, of course, the
That's some-
joy in Harrison Ford doing the press. You just know that he's like, I'm done, man. He's like,
Well, he wanted Han Solo to die in Return of the Jedi. I think it's great that they took it to the last movie. It was such a perfect inversion to make Han Solo into the Obi-Wan character,
Yeah.
and to just like have him,
and
he's
sacrifice. He's a believer now.
He's a believer now,
He
but then it
literally
also,
stops everything and says, it's all true.
But it also just builds on the whole
In the
father-son.
room, in
Which
the room.
no one could have delivered that line in a more
And
poignant,
in the
meaningful, and
very
emotional way.
space that he had doubt like 30 years earlier. Like,
But the thing is,
you
it's
know.
so funny when
But
you
that
really,
circle and cycle is
But you go back to episode
so
4.
important and amazing.
I
for,
know, but like Obi-Wan picked Han Solo out of that cantina for a
Right.
reason. It wasn't just a random guy, because Han Solo was asking more
but we
money
all-
than anyone else in that cantina,
Yeah, but we-
and Obi-Wan insisted it be Han Solo because he knew that he was somebody, and Han Solo, had he been smart, would have been like, "Fuck you, I'm not taking this job." If
I
he'd
know.
known how it ended,
Well,
he would
again-
not have done
again,
it.
It's the hero's journey where the reluctant
It's called the
hero-
Lancer in trope lore.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
the,
Oh, really?
the mythological
Well-
hero's
The
journey.
hero's journey in school. We actually
Like-
watched.
Well, Luke is
Well,
the
no,
hero,
no, the
and the
overall
Lancer is
concept
the,
is the-
guy behind the hero, the sort of older brother, the more
But-
cynical one.
Yeah,
But,
they're
yeah.
dynamic, Han
Yeah.
and Luke's
even-
dynamic.
But I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
saying
an
that, like, the
archetypical
personal
thing.
journey
Right.
of that Lancer is often, you know what, I'm kind of over it. My time is past. I've never found that to be, You know, and you see it in a lot of it's in the character No Country for Old Men. He's laying in bed. He's like,
That's a cool analogy, man.
Fuck it, and he goes out in the middle of the night and it fucks everything up, you know. But he can't let it go, and it's like Han Solo can't. I mean, I was actually just
Because
looking
it's a hole in him.
I was thinking about that quote.
It's
where the guy's
compensatory.
like- I was thinking about how the
Han
guy
Solo
is
has
like,
the Force.
well, that's what I was going to go into next. Is we all know that basically Han Solo is a Force imbibed.
He calls it luck.
I know he calls it luck.
He
but
calls
there's
it a
no
lot
way,
of other
There's no way
things.
he's that charismatic. He can get whatever he wants.
And can fly through an asteroid field like
and it's
that.
Just, and he's amazing. He's got him, and he's
and
intuitive.
and also be so tied up with the destiny of the galaxy.
Yeah.
I mean, for him to play such a pivotal role in these central events, he wasn't just a bystander. He
But-
was crucial to this thing. He found Obi-Wan the same way Obi-Wan found him. That was his destiny to live that
well,
out.
and it's all kind of
There was
it's all
a
boiled down
mystical
to,
energy field controlling his
You know, where he's
destiny.
just
there
like-
was a mystical
you know, he
energy
just-
field controlling his destiny. It just took him 30 years to figure it out.
and
then he died.
But I mean, it's
at
like
the hands of his own
that,
son.
that turn.
Amazing
I mean, you
shit.
know it's in him. What
does that
You know
mean?
it's in him, but you're just not sure. And it's masterfully handled by just having the Millennium Falcon come blasting out of
I'm good,
a corona of a sun, and
Good
him,
word, dude.
and him blasting out over the radio like
You're all
"Woo!"
clear,
you know,
kid.
You're
Now
all
let's
clear,
blow
kid.
this thing
And
and
you're
go
like, oh
home.
my God, thank God, Solo. We knew.
We knew you were a good person.
But we just didn't know when, and there it is. And then I think about how
The
in Empire
corona,
Strikes
dude. That's the
Back-
word. Can I just commend you on that word usage?
He really wants to
Thank
congratulate
you.
you on your good vocabulary.
It's a
It's an
little-
instant visual. It's a really good word.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's
Kind
just-
of rarely
he's
used.
eclipsing this thing, and it's such a weird choice. Like, wow, like it's a conscious choice to have this like
We haven't seen
bright
each other
star
together as a
behind
triangle
him,
in a long
like,
time. And this is
Got
you know,
Halo
special,
almost.
rich, it's cool.
That's the
Not to
second
go.
Star Wars Beyonce reference we're making tonight, right?
Really?
Well, yeah, because I was saying this Force awoke like this.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
Force
Well-
has been
Yeah.
woke.
I mean, I just thought that I find it so we can chop
call
up all
Leia
the
with the
details,
girl.
but it just like to bring it back into the real world and not just the mechanical
Girl.
world, but just like the personal world is like to have grown up with Star Wars and have Star Wars been such an integral, part of my development as a human being, being such Han Solo is my hero when all my life, but up until my fucking late 40s, he's been immortal.
Yeah.
There was no conclusion to that story. Han Solo was just this fixed thing.
Yeah.
There was always going to be. And then suddenly, at this late age in my life, this stage in
As
my life,
we ourselves, unfortunately,
getting there.
actually feel
Or seeing
like
our fathers
we can kind
be
of
like that.
like the distant heat distortion of mortality down the highway.
yeah,
like,
to
oh,
said,
shit.
suddenly have that
Did I just
story
catch
be
a
put
glimpse
to
of
an
something?
end.
Yeah, and so to have
Dude, I watched Han Solo die with my 7 and 4-year-old. That shit was heavy, man.
Yeah, how does that affect them?
Well, because when Obi-Wan goes, you're just like, well, I don't.
But
get
you
it.
met
That
him
was
in that
weird.
movie.
Yeah, but I'm saying
to
that's
be with Han
weird,
Solo
like-
for 30
Yeah,
years.
absolutely. And I'm just saying, I don't really feel they had another. That no other character really went, right? I mean, we of course like.
In Force Awakens?
I gotta
Well,
say
no,
that's one
just
of the
in
most
Star
impactful
Wars,
deaths in all of cinema. Just
Agreed.
because of the time period between when the character was created to when he died,
In the
and the
context
amount
of
of
the
time that
character,
character
yeah.
had to weave his
Let it
way
fucking
into the
sink
popular
And how about
consciousness.
that increment of time between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens and all that embodied? And now here we are at this stage of our life watching Han's
I mean, it's
demise,
Watching Han die.
masterful-
encompassing all of this, all
it's
that
really,
it did.
it's really a masterful creation to get the same actors and have them age appropriate.
Unbelievable.
And,
Agreed.
it's-
that
it's-
was done.
It's just like
It
had
was
to be-
against
it had
all
to be
odds that
done. It had
happened.
to be done then, and it had to be done. Somebody had to start planning this like 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So, in fact, that Rolling Stone article was saying that like Mark Hamill had been on like a physical regimen
Yep.
for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, I
to
saw
get
that
in
too.
shape to play.
And
with.
the article also mentioned something else fairly interesting.
All right, the food's ready.
Wait though, one last thing.
I can't eat.
One last
I
thing.
can't eat.
One last thing
I
that
can't
was
eat and
pointed out.
conversate. Let's keep talking.
One last thing that was pointed
This looks
out,
amazing,
though.
man. But I'm gonna.
One last thing that was pointed out in that article was
keep
that
talking and
was
then
that
eat.
Mark Hamill is older than Alec Guinness was
Really?
when they made.
You don't get to hold that. It goes to the end.
I was busy talking to him. I wasn't
But
planning
this-
on keeping it.
Timothy.
goes to the end.
Yeah, I'll go.
You can hold.
Thank
this.
you so much for this,
But I
man.
was totally.
I know.
You don't wanna eat?
But no, I'm gonna eat
Okay.
one. But as a courtesy to the others, I'm gonna allow this
Dude,
to pass by.
This
me.
guy fucking
Ladies
brought
first.
a
That's
shit.
all I have to
Give
say.
me a fork. I'm ready to go.
Thank you. Oh, this looks wonderful, Neil.
Ooh, I would love a fork.
Rays and Leia's and Mon Mothma's first.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we always knew on some subconscious level that there was going to be another trilogy.
Can we
Like-
talk more about Rogue One, though?
Yeah, say whatever you want to say.
I'm excited about it, but it kind of looks a little corny as I see more and more of
You
it.
think so?
We got a blind samurai. We got like a, well, I'm a rebel. I rebel. You know, like, okay.
I don't think these standalone movies are going to ever be as impactful as the trilogy
But I
films.
love the cast. I love the cast. I love the
I like the
cast.
cast,
I'm
too.
like, the cast looks amazing. We got this like Death Trooper weird dude. I'm a little down on the AT-AT
cool right
being
now.
introduced into a prequel
Tropical
situation.
environment?
No, I like the
Why?
tropical environment because, well, I feel that like, you know.
That's a
again,
good point.
Again, it goes to like Star
Is
Wars.
it anachronistic?
It goes to Star Wars on Earth type mode for me, which is like Star Wars comes out, and then as a kid, I remember on the cover of Starlog magazine, it was like Star Wars 2.
Starlog.
Like
Bill
Star
McMullins
Wars
just
2.
said Starlog.
You know, like it was never called Star Wars 2, except for rumors when they heard they were making it. You know, and then you're like, wow, Star Wars 2. I didn't think they'd ever make another one, and so it's kind of like you're excited about the evolution, and The Empire Strikes Back. Believe me, nothing deviates quite as much as, you know, like Star Wars to The Empire Strikes Back. You know,
Tell us, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, like all new planets, all new vehicles, all new situations. It's your father. What the fuck, dude? There's very dramatic. Whereas Return of the Jedi is like, hey,
What
we're
a
going back to like settle things with Jabba the Hutt back on Tatooine. And you know, it was like one of my least favorite things to point out to you is that 5 of the 6 Star Wars movies up until
Take place on Tatooine.
Have scenes on Tatooine, or I'm like, give it.
You alluded to it earlier. You said I'm sick of this desert shit.
Yeah, I'm
And Jakku
You're
could tell you
over
to be
this-
Tatooine.
Jakku is essentially
Sand and
Tatooine
everything.
in the sort of way that the
Twin
What a-
sons.
how it looks and
the
what it
Star Killer
represents.
base is kind of like. And you know what? Let me point out one thing. This is all to you
Knock yourself
fucking
out there.
haters on the fucking YouTube thing that are like, they can't think of any new ideas. The fucking Force Awakens is a new fucking. It's the same fucking movie remade. Dickheads, what would be a more powerful weapon than something that blows up your entire planet? What are you gonna make? Shut the fuck up. There's nothing more powerful.
Yeah,
There's
they just
nothing
try
more
to make
powerful.
it better.
They're just like, hey, you know what was a good idea?
Billions
30 years ago, we were making things that blew up
McMillions.
planets. That's a fucking dangerous weapon. I can't think of anything worse.
Let's just make a bigger one.
Let's make another one.
Let's make another one that destroys
You know?
5 planets
So I'm just
instantaneously.
saying, shut up
What?
with that business? You can't make a more powerful weapon than, you know. I mean, what are you going to make? A mind ray that makes the people on that planet turn and stab
Too
one
much
another?
trouble.
Well, okay, that's cool too. That's dangerous, whatever. But something that, I mean, come on, people. You're not going to make something more dangerous than something that blows up someone's planet. So, you know, maybe something that can go back in time and blow up the planet all through the past. And
Do you
all-
have another
all the-
target?
yeah.
A military target? Then name the system.
I mean,
Anyway, so
it
there we
also
go.
does sort of suggest the myopia of evil, you know, where they can only think in one way.
Okay. There's
Myopia
another
of
fucking
evil.
comment for you, you fucking haters.
It's like
Myopia.
Like the Empire lost, right?
M-Y-O.
And yet they try to make the Empire again because
P-I-A.
they're not creative.
Myopia.
Right.
These are
They
evil
just keep
people.
using that same old fucking beat, man.
What do you
They
mean?
just keep going back to that same beat.
Yeah.
Bring that beat
Bring that beat back. Face for your face, London.
What's up with the salad, Neil? What is it?
What am I eating here? It's
It's
good.
delicious. I just don't want to stop listening to Billions and commenting in my subtle, subversive, subliminal, subconscious
Spinach. Got some grated tomatoes, some red
kind of
onion,
way.
Some grated Romano, some grilled chicken, and
Grilled chicken, you guys.
what else we got here?
This is what I got. The chicken's in
How do you say that again?
Pinot Noir.
Pinot Noir, citrus Pinot Noir dressing mixed with the garlic and herb Chardonnay
Pinot
dressing.
New York.
And croutons, zesty
Pinot.
croutons
And
from
you prepared
ShopRite.
this in your...
No ear.
What is
Is,
that?
is there any sort of Star Wars theme to this? Do we have like...
Oh, no. I mean, not grilled chicken. It's actually grilled
It's not
Ewoks.
an Ewok.
Yeah.
Then. Yeah, it's not an Ewok.
What is that thing he cut himself and he
Right, that's true. That's true. A
You know
tauntaun.
damn well he said it was real chicken.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think you would actually eat it, but you gotta try the first, man.
It's fantastic.
There's Womp Rat.
Morg, this can't just be 1 hour.
Yeah, this is gonna be over soon.
It's
Good.
New York City rat, grilled on the barbecue, reheated
It's a womp rat.
on a $20 hot plate.
You know what? I might actually eat that. I wouldn't be mad.
Especially if I cook it.
Would
I
you
wouldn't
eat a
be mad
womp
at
rat,
that.
Bill?
Why isn't there a Star Wars restaurant?
Yo! I
They
was
need
gonna
to
say that's a
open
brilliant
an
idea,
IRL
but the amount of money you would have to license for that.
I just think they should make a canteen.
Hey, man, I have the Wookiee cookbook.
Listen.
I have the Wookiee cookie
Cookbook.
Go
cookbook.
to Disneyland.
I do.
Is there such thing?
There is.
In Disneyland, there
Came out
are
in
all sorts
mid-80s,
of Star
I think.
Wars
Anybody want
themed,
napkins?
drinks and food, and all
Yeah,
that.
but it's all
essentially a Star
in-world
Wars.
shit, like Wookiee watermelon. It's not something they would actually drink in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah,
It's
that's
more
true.
like
No, that's true because
That's for me.
we could. I would want to try a like some sort of blue milk with
Yeah,
that weird
it's something they
with
drank
that weird
in
sort
universe.
of like unleavened
Not
bread.
like Jawa
thing.
juice.
Unleavened bread thing.
Whatever she makes.
That's
made
the shit.
bread, the green bread. That looks
The
amazing.
green bread.
And obviously, look, she's staying healthy.
I mean, I liked
Put
seeing
an
that.
Put an X-wing fighter pilot helmet at every table.
Right. Yeah.
Construct the table
They'll steal that.
as if it was the anatomy of an AT-AT.
This is what I would like to see
What
happen.
about the tables that they had in the movie? Look, model them after that.
Yeah, I think they should just make it
My
like a
kid,
place where
my
they-
kids really love the galactic yeast element.
The
love
galactic
that.
yeast.
Yes,
1/4 portion.
Exactly.
Of what?
right.
Oh.
It comes in that weird, like, shrink wrap thing as these little.
It's astronaut
Yeah, it's
food,
astronaut.
exactly, times a
Well,
million.
actually,
That might have been some shit he got off a Star Destroyer himself.
True.
I'm thinking
You know, that could
True.
be 30-year-old food. I mean, what was I like
40
seeing that shit
portions.
because
No, hold on. Hold the door, just real quick. What does everybody think?
yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's great.
If anybody wants more dressing,
stop everything.
Thank you so much for the
It's
salad,
not
man.
it's not the weirdest thing you've ever made, but it's good.
can't always be weird.
What was so interesting about The Sopranos? They always
How did we
made
get onto the Sopranos?
no, but just like because they always used
We're no stranger to tangents.
the food. They would always show what they were eating or where they were eating. and
That's
the food-
acculturated, man.
the
That's
food-
so
It
Italian.
is so interesting to
That's
see
a
that
nod. I
in
think that's a
Star
nod
Wars.
to
You know?
Coppola.
I think food is such an inherent part of human existence,
For sure.
and like, it's just interesting how in Star Wars that the food has always been very peripheral. The food and
Interesting
the music.
point.
Like, you hear in
Interesting
Star Wars,
delineation.
One of the things that really disappointed me about Attack of the Clones is they go to that bar.
Oh, yeah,
Which
Dex.
is supposed to be
Dex.
a sort of riff on the cantina, and there was no.
It wasn't a
music
riff on the
playing.
cantina. It was a space diner.
Well, no, not Dex. Is when
Oh.
he goes to the place to buy the desk. You want to buy
It's
some
almost
desk.
like
stuff.
they
Oh.
decided the music was too loud, so they just took it out of the whole
There was
thing.
You
no
need to go
music.
home
I
and
just- why
rethink your
couldn't you
life.
just- I just thought it was a missed opportunity.
Well-
the food and the music are sort of details that like flesh out the world, and I think like
Well, in the
you don't see
original-
them that much in Star Wars.
Jedi business. Go back to your
in the original
drinks.
trilogy, there was a particular urgency about the story and immediacy, where there wasn't we weren't allowed, other than the cantina, we weren't allowed to go to areas that were like
Normal
casual
people.
entertainment type
populated by
modes.
locals.
Yeah,
But you got
or,
music
like
and you got the
everyday-
blue milk.
everyday experiences.
blue milk.
I agree. There was
Have
a,
you ever
there was
looked
a
at their-
breakfast. There was a Star Wars.
Dude, do you think
breakfast.
blue
How about that
Yeah,
scene?
I would drink that.
is a recurring sort of consistent thing between Blue Harvest, Blue Milk? I don't
but
know.
also it's
Blue
weird because
lightsabers.
Blue
if you think
lightsabers.
about it,
Yeah.
there's not very much blue food in real life.
No.
Like there's green
not
food,
natural
there's
blue
brown
food.
There's yellow food, there's orange food, but there's not a lot of blue food.
Well, blue is
And I
associated
think
with
it's-
alien.
It's very alien to give them something blue to drink.
Potatoes. Actually,
Yeah, but
Good
I'm not
point.
saying it doesn't exist at all, but it's more sparse. Like blue is
Yo,
not
there's
a
blue
common
raspberry
color to
snow
see on a
cones.
Yeah.
plate.
Well, it's just as humans, we have not seen as much blue food.
But
in our
that's
lives,
do you
so
think that
we
was a
associate it with
deliberate
something
decision?
Of course.
Yes.
But the thing is, that's
blue
why,
is alien.
that's why the food is such an important
Blue
detail.
Harvest, right.
You know, to show what they eat is like
Yeah.
fleshes out and colors. You know,
Max Rebo's blue.
yeah, that's true.
I know they could have had like at Dex's diner. They could have had him come up with some weird moving hamburger, and Obi-Wan could have been like, "Nah, I'm good, Dex." Anyway, what do you think this thing is? You know what I mean? Like, there
Or he
been
could have
some-
just ate it and not thought twice about it.
Yeah, except that it doesn't. In a way, those prequels are like a little bit like they're a little glossy and silly, whereas there's kind of a dirtiness that the original and now I guess these new ones are people want to embrace and have. You know.
Yeah, no shit.
I don't know, man. Do you ever think there's going to
That's
be
a
a
good
moment
point.
where someone's going to be like, you know what? I can't take it anymore. I got really wealthy. I wasn't able to become Batman like I wanted to.
But I'll pay someone else.
So
to be
I'm going to
Batman.
remake those fucking prequels.
I was thinking
you know.
that at some point in the next 20 years, Disney might think about that.
Yeah, I would think so too. Because why
I would not be mad at that.
I wouldn't be if they rewrote the story.
If they just made good movies out of that extraordinary
What do you think is the worst?
aspect, those chapters of the chronology. Just
Why do you- what do you think is the
those
biggest
movies
failure-
with the potential
failure of the prequels?
depicting that lore, right, Bill? That would be exciting. Man.
What's your
That'd be cool.
biggest critique of the prequels?
My biggest critique was that it was made for kids.
And the original trilogy wasn't?
No. I think the original
It
trilogy
definitely
was made
straddled
for
the
all
line
humanity.
much
The
better
Supreme
than the
Leader is
prequels
wise.
did.
That's not my only response, but that's my initial one. How do you feel about that?
My biggest problem with them is just a severe imbalance with the storytelling. Like, you know that I felt that Attack of the Clones, he let that whole chapter go by without introducing very significant things. You and I have talked
Right.
about how
Nothing really
how
happens in that movie.
really the way
so much
episode
should've.
3 ends should have been the ending of episode 2.
Yeah.
And
The
episode
pacing.
3 should have been like just the collapse of everything and these
I
poor
think
Jedi
at the
like
end of
scattering
episode
around,
2,
like, you know.
Anakin should have done the irredeemable thing.
Right.
Like the
Right.
the one thing that sets him on the path to the dark
Yeah.
side that he can't come back from.
Right.
Like killing Mace Windu. That should have happened at the end of the second movie. And
Agreed,
the third
man.
movie
Agreed.
should have been the descent, the justifications,
Yeah.
the incremental
Yeah.
descent into the machine.
Bill, I feel
with
like you and I have
Obi-Wan
had this
as like his
specific
last
conversation
friend.
We've
about
talked about this-
pacing before.
Yeah, well, and I mean,
And how
I'll just-
important that is to a good film experience.
Did you guys see the
Pacing is
film?
everything, man.
Did anybody hear? You saw the film?
Which?
Is it Chronicle?
Novels?
It's what's called like a found footage movie, which is basically that's the genre where it's almost like somebody found all these video cameras from, it's like Blair Witch Project or
Right.
whatever, or Paranormal Activity, where it's like, I don't know, I bumbled across a box of videotapes and I edited together this story for y'alls, and that's kind of what Chronicle follows that mode as well. But the thing about Chronicle, if you watch it, I'm watching this film and I'm like, this movie is so fucking good. This is like the telling of Anakin's story. It's like
I have to see it now,
these three
man.
high school friends, and they kind of climb down into this cave and they find this weird energy flash type thing, and it gives
I
them
like
these
it
kind of
already.
weird like powers where they can actually like train themselves to, like, move things on the table. One of the kids
Goes dark.
is able to control the power a lot, more intuitively and more powerfully than the other two, and he just starts reacting. You guys don't remember this? In the commercial, they had this
sounds
scene where
familiar,
they're
man.
like being honked at by this SUV behind them or
Well,
something.
I think it
and
would
the
have
kid,
been-
he freaks out. He's like, "Ah!" and he makes this motion, and it crashes the SUV that's honking at them.
I would have loved
and
to
kills
see
the
Anakin
people.
struggle
Yeah.
with the power and Obi-Wan's
Yeah.
attempt to sort of bring him in,
Yeah.
stretched out over the duration of a whole film.
Well, it would have been great even if Obi-Wan, even if it had been like some sort of unusual cover-up, or it'd be like he kills Mace Windu, he doesn't really know what to do,
And Obi-Wan kind of
and he's like, and
makes
they're
excuses for him and tries to
kind
help
of,
him.
tries to help him out of it.
Yeah,
and-
because there's that
It's
whole
brilliant
thing.
content handled really poorly,
Yeah, it
man.
was
Yeah.
terrible.
Simple as that.
It was really terrible. But
I
I mean,
will
that's,
also say that it's like seeing George Lucas make films for the first time in
Oh.
decades. It was like the first two were they were like practice that shouldn't have been shown to us in public. The third
Right.
one actually had acceptable shots, and it was put together in a fairly interesting way, But the first, it was just like, dude, no.
I don't know. It just seems like George Lucas's brilliance is unquestioned when it comes to conceiving and executing the Star Wars concept and making the first film. But he had certain limitations when it came to just like dealing with people bringing out the emotional quality. I mean, one of the reasons why the first Star Wars movie works so well is because it was made by a group of people that sort of covered for his shortcomings. Like he came up with the idea, but like the cast, the three principals, and Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing, I mean, those people just brought so much to it.
The gravitas from the British actors, man.
And also because his wife, Marcia Lucas, was the one that came up with the snappy jokes and just sort of the human element and just like the personable parts of it. And she was out by Return of the Jedi. She was gone. She was involved in Star Wars and Empire. And by the time you get to Jedi, you can see the prequel syndrome.
The prequels just reflected his personal life to a detrimental degree, as far as just
he stopped collaborating, and he just did it all
I mean, I think it just comes down to...
He stopped listening to people.
It comes down to there was no checks and balances.
Right. Yeah, and
it was like, well, you've obviously made these wonderful films, and
like
now
I'm
we have all
Sam
sorts of
Jackson
money.
and Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor. I'm these really significant, accomplished actors, but I'm not going to question anything because you're the master that created the shit, and I'm going to act out this dumbass wooden crap that you rated that you wrote because I trust that it's gonna work. And no, didn't happen.
Actually, I want to go.
That's why they took it away from you.
That was That was one of the reasons I am okay with Phantom Menace. Was I love the Qui-Gon Jinn character, and
Me too.
And I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He was a good young Obi-Wan.
Too bad they were so poorly written.
True, but I just you know the way I feel about Qui-Gon Jinn is that he was deliberately picked to discover Anakin
because he would do the thing.
Because he was the one that would. I've talked to you about this before. Like the analogy that I put is like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he says it in the film. He's like, you'd be on the council by now if you
if you weren't such a dick.
Whereas basically it's saying like, man, if I just stick with this, I'm locked in. I got my police pension. I can just get behind a desk.
So you're saying because Anakin needed to be discovered
for the fate of... He's like, I don't want to be on the council. I don't want to sit behind a desk. I want to be out on the street with the people. I believe
but you're
in
also
justice.
saying that what you're proposing, though, is that somehow either Palpatine or one of his agents or the fate of the Force that required Anakin to be discovered and brought into the center of galactic events, it needed a rogue person like Qui-Gon to see that and make it happen. Like if Mace Windu had found Anakin on Tatooine, he would have left his ass there.
Yeah, because that's what's so interesting about it, actually, about the films, I think, is that they have Mace Windu and Yoda, and they're like, do you really, I mean, come on. Do you really think this is the prophecy? Because I imagine,
they're super conservative.
Dude, if suddenly somewhere in Honduras, there was this guy that basically was the second coming of Jesus... Do you really think the Pope and everybody would believe it within like 5 or 10 tweets? No, they'd fucking
be against it with everything they had.
No, they'd be like, no, I don't know. We're going to have to go send some experts. And
I'm not imagine being that person.
I'm not so sure. Maybe
and that's how they fucked it up because that's
Anakin
in the prequels never actually has to really confront the notion that he's this prophesized person. Nobody seems to really give a fuck. After Qui-Gon dies, nobody gives a fuck that he's the chosen one, where you'd think like it might have explained his descent into evil more if he was like being pressured and pulled in directions.
Again, really rich content, poorly executed.
Yeah, it's almost
what
like...
the fuck?
I think it comes down to George Lucas not having made films for a long time.
Yeah.
Seriously being... in the thick of it, unable to see the greater vision of, like why, like what you're saying. Like, I hadn't even
Bill.
Really
He had
that,
no
but
objectivity,
why,
man. He didn't step back at
I
all.
don't think he's able to see. I think he was just going from post to post. I don't think he was able to see the whole span of what he needed to.
I don't know. I think his main motivation for making those movies is that he was really interested in the technology.
The technology is here.
Technology.
I can tell the stories I've always wanted to tell.
But I think it was more about developing the technology than telling the stories.
Enlist a sphere of much more interesting artists and people and get the fuck out of the writing booth.
Well, they took it away from him, and now we're going to get a lot of good Star Wars movies for a long time. And God bless him.
Good full circle cycle right
God
there.
bless him. And that's the end of the episode.
What?
I'm sorry. We've talked about Star Wars for over an hour, and most people would want to kill themselves at this point.
I can listen to Billions till dawn.
Well, we can keep hanging out, but we got to shut this
Concord Dawn.
Slyly saying like, "Oh, this."
Bill, what's Concord Dawn?
Yeah, but it's not going to.
Bill, tell me what.
I'll call you back.
Caught listening to myself.
After Rogue
Bill, what's
One
Concord Dawn, man?
I don't know.
Concord Dawn is the planet where the Mandalorians come from, isn't it?
Yes. Oh, that's a nice name.
I wasn't putting Bill on the spot. I just don't want this
Jasper
conversation
Muriel
to end.
Supposedly,
I know.
Rogue One's not going to continue from one that just happened?
Oh my god,
No.
you guys!
No,
We need
it-
to end the episode.
Rogue
When?
One is,
How?
it's just gonna fade out, and there's not gonna be any official ending whatsoever. Because Star Wars, don't let them in. Hey, Star Wars, give me those Star Wars.
Yo, we made a Star Wars salad.
This is a Star Wars salad. Hey, fuck you. Good night.